What's up, Taiwan? I'm Sandy Chi with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Global tech giants have descended on Taipei this week for Computex, one of the world's biggest tech trade shows. Taiwan, home to the world's top semiconductor manufacturers, remains at the heart of the global tech supply chain. But the country is also strengthening ties with democratic allies to secure and reshape that supply chain. Taiwan's president went to a key forum on Friday as part of those moves. Our reporter Leslie Liao was also there and joins us now from our Taipei newsroom. Leslie, what came out of the event?
Hi, Sandy. Well, President Lai Ching-te was at Friday's event highlighting the important role artificial intelligence will play in the coming years. He said he'll offer incentives to help Taiwan's AI sector thrive. Have a listen.
达到这个目标，政府会做几个事情。第一个，我们会建制跟业界大家共同合作，建制法治，推出国家政策。这个在金融的支持，还有税负方面的鼓励，这个我们通通都会来做。
AI was just one of the topics covered on at Friday's forum. The main issue was semiconductor supply chains. At a time when the global trade order is being reshuffled, Taiwan wants to use its influential place in the semiconductor industry to realign its supply chains with like-minded democratic partners. Now that means that what goes into a chip will be produced, sourced, and shipped through Taiwan's partners' countries. Friday's event was hosted by Taiwan's Industrial Technology Research Institute, and it comes hot off the heels of Computex, one of the world's biggest tech trade shows, and which was held in Taipei. Now, the Lai administration has made what it calls democratic supply chains a key policy point. President Lai Ching-te wants to decouple Taiwan's supply chains from China, which he has called a hostile foreign force. And semiconductors, an area where Taiwan excels, is just one of the industries that Lai has targeted for this transition. To give you an idea of how important democratic supply chains are to the Lai administration, well, the president, the economy minister, the foreign minister, all major policymakers were at Friday's event. And as a leader in chip making, in global chip making, Taiwan is leveraging its influence in the area, in the field, to help foster global ties and increase its international presence. Representatives from the US, the UK, Japan, France, the Netherlands all spoke at Friday's event, and hundreds of industry leaders attended as well. So that just gives you an idea of how much weight Taiwan's semiconductor prowess holds.
Leslie, why does the semiconductor supply chain need re-evaluating? Why now?
One of the biggest challenges facing global trade is U.S. President Donald Trump's tariff policies. Trump has gone back and forth on his tariff policies, and that includes for semiconductors. The world's biggest chip maker, TSMC, has asked the U.S. for tariff exemptions, and that comes as TSMC has promised $165 billion in investment in America, but Trump has made no promises. Even so, in the face of such uncertainty and at a time when when the world's supply chains are being shaken up, Taiwan is using this opportunity and its semiconductor supply chain to strengthen global ties.
Thanks, Leslie. That was Leslie Liao live from Taipei. Just a week after shutting down its last nuclear power plant, Taiwan is now ramping up coal-fired energy production. But the move is sparking concern. Lawmakers and environmentalists warn pollution is on the rise. And as Rick Loud reports, Taiwan's debate over nuclear power is far from settled.
Smoke rises from a coal-fired power plant in central Taiwan. Units brought back online just days after Taiwan shut down its last operating nuclear reactor. And in Taiwan's capital, lawmakers gather to protest this decision, saying it's impacting public health.
那这不是转型哦，我想这是牺牲百姓的健康。
Taiwan's controversial nuclear power plants are now all switched off, but the energy debate is far from over. Taiwan pursued nuclear energy in the 80s and 90s. At its peak, it relied on it for about half of its energy production. But after the nuclear disaster in Fukushima in neighbouring Japan, safety concerns led Taiwan to begin shutting down its 4 reactors. And, for now at least, fossil fuels are making up most of the deficit. Despite the health concerns, state-run Taipower says it has been transparent about reactivating fossil fuel units to meet rising demand.
台电一向就是依照着这一个规范在启动，所有的机组并联发电在台电的公开网站上面，全部都有呈现，不会有偷来这件事。
Taiwan faces an uphill battle to meet its 2050 carbon neutral goals and keep pollution down. New wind and solar projects are starting to come online, but not fast enough to make up for the loss of nuclear power or to curb Taiwan's growing dependence on fossil fuels, which now supply nearly 90% of the country's energy. The government here now saying they could go back to nuclear.
I think small modular reactors and new generation of large nuclear reactors can be considered by this government, because the announcement was made publicly by the premier. So that's why I'm sure that this government will come back to nuclear again in the future. But I'm not sure how soon would that be, okay? But if we are only talking about new nuclear technology, then we have to wait until 2030.
That's a long wait for Tech Hub Taiwan, where the demand for energy is only increasing. Much of the world's most sophisticated semiconductor chips are made here, production rising to meet increasing demand for AI supercomputers. Shutting down its now aging and, for many people, unsafe nuclear reactors may have solved one of Taiwan's energy challenges. But the bigger dilemma remains: how to keep the power on while addressing people's concerns about their health and safety. Chris Ma and Rick Lowett in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's military says it will start phasing out older tanks, shifting those resources toward drones instead. Defense Minister Wellington Koo says the military will begin retiring the CM-12 main battle tank in 2026. The move is part of a broader effort to modernize Taiwan's armed forces and reduce maintenance costs. It also comes as the military increasingly turns towards drones to cut reliance on manpower. Military experts have long considered the CM-12 obsolete. Going forward, Taiwan will rely more heavily on the newer US-made M1 Abrams and upgraded M60 tanks. The US could be looking to withdraw thousands of troops from South Korea, according to the Wall Street Journal. The report says the US might pull about 4,500 troops out of South Korea, with plans to relocate them to Guam and other parts of the Indo-Pacific. The US has more than 28,000 troops stationed in South Korea. Their main role is to help deter any military threat from North Korea. Seoul says it has not had any talks with Washington about reducing troop numbers. The Pentagon has so far declined to comment. Thousands of foreign students in the US face uncertainty after the Trump administration barred Harvard University from enrolling them. The ban affects new international students for the 2025 to 2026 school year. Those already enrolled must transfer or risk losing their legal status in the US. The move follows a standoff between the White House and Harvard over the school's refusal to hand over information on foreign students after campus protests. The US Domestic Security Agency accuses Harvard of creating an unsafe environment, saying it's allowed anti-American agitators to target Jewish students. The department says the school can continue to admit foreign students if it turns over student records within 72 hours. Harvard has called the order unlawful and says it's working to support its students. For more on the reaction to the Trump administration's move, Joyce Tseng spoke to Jenny Hu. She's a current Harvard PhD student from Taiwan, studying speech and hearing bioscience and technology.
Jenny, can you share with us what the mood on campus has been like since Harvard started resisting the Trump administration's demands?
Yeah, it's so complicated. I have to say, since maybe February, There are so many on and off, so many actions from Trump against Harvard. And actually, I was in Taiwan in February worrying about entering the US territory because there were some actions unfriendly to international students. But luckily, I got in successfully, and I think that's it. But actually, that was just a beginning. The NIH cut and also the NIH grant termination. Every time we think this kind of ridiculous thing won't happen, but every time, like, it did happen, even though some people said that it is actually not constitutional, but who can guarantee that? I don't know. So I just feel like my life, my heart was suspended.
And how does this latest ban on enrolling foreign students affect you?
I'm right now under the student visa, which is the F visa, and my status might be suspended. Based on what the news said, that you need to transfer to other university or go back to your hometown. I think the worst scenario is that maybe our PI, because I'm a graduate student, like PhD student, so actually I'm working under a PI's lab. So the worst scenario would be my PI might ask somebody else, like some other professors outside of Harvard, to take me and finish the rest of my thesis. But we won't know if that could happen. As you know, the NIH grant is also cut. So every lab is suffering from financial issue right now.
What has Harvard communicated with you about next steps, or were there any instructions before this to support you?
We can see so many emails going on, like emails from our dean, emails from our program director, trying to say that we don't need to worry about anything. If we have any concern or we want to vent, just call them or go to their office. So the thing is that we don't have any concrete solution right now. Maybe during February or March, actually, there were a lot of the cases happen that international students were approached by ICE. The university sent out so many messages teaching us how to deal with the situation like that. So they actually said that if you see any ICE people approaching you, you don't touch them, don't talk to them. You have like right to walk away. I actually really feel honored to Harvard because I know Harvard tried their best to protect students. So I really appreciate it. And I don't want to, secure our status by providing other students or providing the list of the students who attended protests. It's not fair. Like, if you are a parent, there is no way that you will, trade your one kid for another kid.
That was Ginny Hu, a PhD student at Harvard. A 31-year-old man from Chicago has been charged with the murder of a young couple who worked at the Israeli embassy in Washington, D.C. Elias Rodriguez is accused of fatally shooting the two embassy staffers, Yaron Leshinsky and Sarah Milgram, as they were leaving an event at the Capital Jewish Museum on Wednesday evening. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has labeled the shooting an act of anti-Semitism and ordered that security be ramped up at consulates around the world. Two construction workers are fighting for their lives after a scaffolding collapsed in central Taiwan. Paramedics say neither had vital signs when they arrived. In total, 4 workers were injured when the scaffolding came crashing down from about 10 stories up, hitting several people as it fell. All 4 are now being treated in hospital. The exact cause of the collapse is unknown. Construction site accidents are not uncommon in Taiwan. Just last year, 2 people were killed when scaffolding collapsed at a factory in the south. Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. Before we go, let's take a look at a French teenager whose passion for bells has led him to catalog more than 1,000 of them. I'm Sani Chi. Take care and see you next time.